Hi guys, I'm back with another video. I try to post one like every week. And I try to not post too much because, people get tired of stuff. So don't want you guys to get tired of me yet. I'm just starting. Just a little update. Well, a couple updates. One, next week, which will be next Friday, I will be speaking at a conference about transplants. I'll be on a panel and we'll be discussing a lot about transplants. And one of the aspects is the myths of transplant, and I actually talked about that on another video, so I'm excited about that and about the physiological and physical aspects of transplant. So that should be really good. I'm excited to show you guys that because I think it's a big thing, and I think that more people should really be aware of transplants and lung transplants. Sadly, I think it's going to be a growing industry because within our generation we have the vaping and we have smoking and all that, and I think more and more people will be getting transplants, especially lung transplants. So I think that raising more awareness to that aspect will benefit a lot of people and a lot of people's families that might go through that. I am 26 years old and I am still learning this transplant life as I learn with you guys. So hopefully somebody will be able to look at my channel and see it as some type of inspiration and informative too, and just like a light at the end of the tunnel. Anywho, so here's an update about me. So if you are thinking about transplant, or you're interested in learning about transplant, or if you know somebody who has had a transplant, one thing is there is a complication that can occur besides chronic rejection, and that ultimately is what happens at the end, but it's called reflux. And if you don't know what reflux is, it's like your stomach and your esophagus, it's enabled to keep down the acid contents, all the acid contents that are in your stomach. So once that kind of I've never had reflux before, but sometimes they say that transplants, they kind of, they're all up in your chest, changing around stuff, cutting stuff, suturing stuff, they, change your anatomy. And one thing that might change is that it's called a sphincter. It closes off when you do eat something, and it closes and acid doesn't come up. So what happened with me is, when I got my surgery, that little thing that closes off that acid, that got damaged. So I've been having reflux. It's called silent reflux for me because I don't have any symptoms. But there's a little bit of acid that comes up, and it can start to spill over into your lungs and damage your lungs. And I don't know, I can't remember if I talked about this in another video. I'm not sure, but I'll explain it again. So the acid comes up, and obviously your stomach to your esophagus, there's a connection where your lungs are connected. That's why when you go down the wrong pipe with something, you cough your lungs out because it's getting, it might have went down the wrong pipe or something. So that is what's happening with me. My acid is coming up and it's going into my lungs, possibly. They can't assess whether it's going into my lungs, but they can tell by the GERD or the reflux that there is some there. So what they do is prophylactically, since I'm young, And I obviously need these lungs for the rest of my life, hope, God willing, that I don't have to get another transplant, but they don't want the acid, because what happens when the acid spills over into your lungs, it starts to inflame your lungs. And that's what was happening when I was getting sick. My lungs were inflamed from the bird antigen that I was breathing in. So what they do not want is my new lungs being inflamed by something that they can stop. So that requires another surgery, and it's called a fundoplication. And they basically go through, they surgically cut off, well, not cut off, but tie off that place where the acid is coming up. And that basically stops the acid from coming up and damaging my new lungs. So it's a prophylactic thing, but at the end of the day, if I want to keep my new lungs as long as I live, I have to. A lot of people, they don't want to do the fundoplication because it comes with things that people aren't really, excited about. Like for me, they require that you eat soft foods and liquids for a month. That's not fun. For a month. I can only drink liquids or soft foods like mashed potatoes or something like that. So that's going to be a challenge. And, people just don't want to go through surgery after they've been through this long, grueling surgery. But to me, I view it as this is a little bump in the road for me. It's not like I haven't had many other ones. But if it, allows me to keep my new lungs for as long as I live, then heck yeah, I'm going to do it. Like, everybody might not see it the same way as me, but if, a transplant patient happens to come across my YouTube channel or my page and they are thinking about the same thing, then, they'll know that there's other people that, are going to go through it. And me, I'm a soldier. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm a hard nut to crack. Like, I will do whatever and I'll go through whatever, because at the end of the day, I have the support of my husband and the support of God, and that's really all I need. You know what I mean? Like, and of course my best friend, and my, support system, but I view it as just another thing I have to do. And, I don't want to undergo another surgery, but I have to protect my lungs at all costs. So if that's what I have to do, then I'm going to undergo another surgery. They recommend it highly because they don't want me to but damage these new lungs. There were some people that didn't want it, and some doctors that, said, oh, you don't need it, you're fine. And then this is important for people who aren't thinking about it. A lot of those patients got their lungs damaged by the reflux, and over time, their lung function started to drop more. And then with their new lungs, they were back on oxygen, because lungs that aren't supposed to be in your body are so finicky and so sensitive to everything, because they're not even supposed to be there in the first place. So anything that causes them to shift and be like, whoop, what is this? They're going to fight back. And how they fight back is your body says, something's wrong here. And then rejection occurs. And people can end up on 6 liters again and back on the transplant list. And let me tell you something. If I had the choice not to go back on the transplant list, I wouldn't. If I had that choice, I would not. So this is just an informative video for anybody who's thinking about transplant and thinking about things that might happen after transplant. These are one of the things. So I just want to make, others aware of that. And I hope that anybody who knows a person who's going through lung transplant or has or is about to will show them this video. But I hope you guys stay tuned for the conference because I'm super excited. I actually have to start writing on top of all my other schoolwork. I have to start writing what I'm gonna say, and I have to kind of really think about this one. Like the one before was just like me talking, but this I have to really think about it because there's a lot of people that's going to be there that's going to expect me to know what the heck I'm talking about. And I just blabber sometimes. Sometimes I go from here to here and I'm just like all over the place. So I gotta like zero it in. But anyway, that'll be next Friday. Have a good night, guys.